Today our group will be presenting on the topic of epithelial tissue. Firstly, we will start with the common type of covering epithelia. The first common type of epithelia is the simple epithelial cell, which is of a single layer cell. Simple epithelial cell can be further classified by its shape. Firstly, there are simple squamous epithelium, which is flattened and scale-shaped. Next is the simple cuboidal epithelium, which is cube-like in shape. And lastly, the simple columnar epithelium, which is column in shape. The next common type of epithelia is the stratified epithelial cell, which is made up of two or more layers of epithelial cell. There are stratified columnar epithelia, also the squamous keratinized and non-keratinized epithelial cell. Last but not least is the pseudo-stratified epithelia, which there are two or more rows of nuclei, giving the false appearance of a stratified epithelium, but because each cell rests on the basement membrane, this is really a single layer of cell. Next, moving on to the structure of epithelia. Firstly, its membrane is formed by sheet of cells. Next, the epithelia contain filament and microfilament that form a dense structure called terminal web. Lastly, epithelial cell will eventually form the exocrine gland and the endocrine gland.
Functions of epithelial tissue. First is provide physical protection. Second function is control permeability. Third is provide sensation. And last one is produce specialized secretion. Now is the general characteristic of epithelial tissue. First, the form of epithelial cells. Second, presence of basal lamina. And last one, cohesion among epithelial cells. The form of epithelial cells. The form and dimension of epithelial cells vary, ranging from columnar to cuboidal to squamous cell. If the cells are column-shaped, the epithelium is columnar. If the cells are cuboid, we call the cells as cuboidal. And if the cells are flat, the epithelium is squamous. The shapes of epithelial cells are usually reflected in the shape of their nuclei. So for the second general characteristic of epithelial tissue is presence of basal lamina. It is the boundary between epithelium and underlying connective tissue. It presents at the base of epithelium. So the last is cohesion among epithelial cells. The cohesion among epithelial cells are extremely cohesive, so strong mechanical forces are needed to separate.
Okay, now I would like to explain about the specializations on the apical surface. First is microvilli. Microvilli is the finger-like extensions extend from the surface of the cytoplasm. And the functions of microvilli is to increase surface area of the apex of the cells. And these types of microvilli can be found abundantly in the epithelium lining the small intestine and proximal convoluted tubules. And this function is to increase the rates of absorptions up to 30 times. And layer of microvilli found on this epithelium is called brush border. Next is stereocilia. Stereocilia is the longer microvilli. It can also help to increase surface area of the epithelial cell, and it is a long non-motile process, presents in male reproductive tract, epidermis, and hair cells of the inner ear. And next, the last one is cilia, and this is the structures, the cross-sectional area of the cilia. It has 9 peripheral microtubule doublets and 2 central microtubule singlets, which give it a 9+2 pattern. And in this figure is the exonym, which is the shaft of the cilium. And in this figure, we can see that the cilium is inserted into the basal body, which is the dense structures that falls on the apex of the epithelial cell, which is just below the plasma membrane. And this is one cilium, and inside the cilium is two peripheral microtubules and one central microtubules. And the sources of energy for ciliary movement is ATP, and ciliary movement is frequently coordinated to permit the currents of fluids or particulate matters to be propelled in one direction over the ciliated epithelium. So now I would like to explain the specializations on the basal surface. The basal enfolding will increase surface area of the plasma membrane, and these mitochondria can provide energies for the active transport. And the arrangements of mitochondria and basal enfoldings at the base of the cell give an appearance of basal striations under the microscope. And next, I will proceed to the specializations on lateral surface. First is the tight junctions, or also known as the zonular occludence. The functions of tight junction is to form a tight seal that preventing the flows of materials between the epithelial cells, paracellular pathway in either directions, from apex to base or from base to apex. Next is the zonular adherence. In zonular adherence, the function is to encircle the cell and provides adhesions to the neighboring cells. And the special feature is insertions of numerous actin filaments on the dense plaques. And next is macular adherence, or also known as the desmosome. And the desmosome is abundant in epithelia that must withstand the abrasions. And in stratified squamous epithelium is the only types of junctions that will present. And the functions of the desmosome is to provide firm adhesions to the next cells. And for hemidesmosome is to bind epithelia to the subjacent basal lamina. And next is the gap junctions. The gap junctions individual unit is the connexins, and inside the connexin is formed by 6 protein co-connexins, and these connexins will join together to form hydrophilic pore at the center. And besides that, the functions of the gap junction is to provide mechanism for intracellular communications and provide mechanism for exchange of ions and other small molecules between the epithelial cells. And the signaling molecules like hormones, cyclic AMPs and GMP can also pass through the gap junctions.
The general biology of epithelial cells, there are 4 things that we need to remember, which is the lamina propria, the nutrition, the innervation, and also the polarity. The lamina propria is actually the connective tissue bounded by the basal lamina to the epithelium. The function of lamina propria is to support the epithelium and also to bind to the neighboring structure. The contact between the epithelium and the lamina propria is increased by the irregularities called invagination, and it is named as papillae. Epithelium is anavascular. It means that no blood vessel is present in the epithelial cell, and thus no nutrient can be supplied to the cell. Thus, the nutrition depends on the diffusion through the basal lamina and lamina propria, where it is enhanced with the presence of papillae, which increase the diffusion rate of nutrition between the blood vessel within the lamina propria and also the epithelial cell. It's the innervation. Innervation is a supply part of body with nerves. In epithelium, there is a rich nerve plexus or network in the lamina propria. It increases the supply of sensory nerve ending, and thus this will stimulate action for the epithelium. Epithelia is classified into 3 morphological characteristics. The first is the number of cell layer. The second is the shape of component cell when seen in section taken off right angle of the epithelial surface, and also the presence of surface specialization. For the number of cell layer, it is divided into 2, which is simple epithelium consists of only 1 layer, and also the stratified epithelium, which is the multi-layer. And for the shape of the component of the cell, it is classified according to the shape of the outermost cell, and the shape of the epithelial depends on the shape of the nuclei, as we can see here for the columnar, cuboidal, and squamous cell. And for the presence of the surface specialization, is divided into For example, of cilia and keratin. We can see for this example of stratified squamous keratinizing epithelium. It means the stratified immensely have multi-layers of cell. Squamous is a flattened cell, and for keratinizing epithelium, it means the cell is covered with keratin.